Hey guys. Okay, we're here in our reading workshop. And this whole week we've been talking about our two voices that we have in our head when we are reading. Our reading voice and our thinking voice. And remember, I made this poster for you guys yesterday, kind of describing why it's important that we use those two voices in our head. Readers make inferences. And an inference is when our reading voice is reading the words on the page or listening to the story being read to them, and our thinking voice is coming in and connecting us to the story and saying, hey, that's happened to me before. Hey, I remember when, or hey, I've seen that before. Remember, our thinking voice can also ask questions like, I wonder what the character was thinking, or I wonder what time of day it is in this story. So our two voices, our reading voice and our thinking voice, work together and they talk to each other to help us come up with new ideas about the text, which means we're making inferences. And making inferences is super important because that's going to help us with all the other comprehension skills we're going to need as we continue to listen to stories and become good readers. So it's really important that we have enough practice using both of these voices in our heads. Okay? So today we're going to practice again. We're going to use our reading voice and our thinking voice. Now, I'm going to tape up a story. Okay, so I have this story, and I think what I'm going to do is probably move over here because I'm also going to be filling out this chart as we read the story. So I'm going to be making notes of the details. Remember, the reading voice gives us details from the text and then notes about my thoughts as I work through the story. So I'm going to show you how we can use our reading voice and our thinking voice to answer really tough questions about a text that we are reading. Okay? Alrighty, so, and I don't really know if this is a good spot for me to sit because I feel like you can't really see. Maybe I'll move back over here. Okay, I'll just move back here and then I will.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I am, but are you going to send somebody over?
I have two.
Okay.
Is it okay? Because they can stay in my room if you're recording.
Okay, sorry. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read the text and then I'll just get up and stand and write down my reading voice details and the thoughts that I'm having. Okay, so first things first, the title of this story is Dan's Morning. Dan's Morning. Okay, so right away, we already know the time of day it is. It's in the morning. It says, Dan ate breakfast, then he looked out the window and smiled. So one of the details I'm going to have from the text is he's eating breakfast, our character, right? And when he looked out the window, he smiled. And right away, sorry, I'm just writing all this down. Okay, so he smiled when he looked out the window. So right away, my thinking voice is popping in and saying, whoo, I know what it means to smile. Dan must be happy, or he must see something outside of the window that he likes. But either way, he smiled, so that tells me that he's happy. My thinking voice is saying Dan is happy because he is smiling, isn't he? Especially when he looked out the window. He put on his coat and boots. Thinking voice is popping in. If he's wearing his coat and his boots, then my thinking voice is saying, I wonder if it's cold outside, right? So the details of the text, he's wearing his coat and his boots, and I'm wondering, my thinking voice is saying, is it cold out there? Okay, let me continue reading. So he put on his coat and boots. Next, he put on a hat. He got his umbrella and went outside. Oh, my thinking voice is saying, okay. So at first, I was wondering if it was cold and snowy, but this word umbrella, so that tells me, what do we use an umbrella for usually? When it's raining. So the fact that he has an umbrella tells me that it's raining outside. Must be right. It is raining. Okay, so let's keep reading. He got his umbrella and went outside. Dan jumped in every puddle he saw. Then he got on the yellow bus. So my thinking voice is saying, okay, he's jumping in the puddles. That's telling me, first of all, it's reminding me of, hey, sometimes when it rains a lot, I let my daughters jump in puddles, and they really, really like it. They have a lot of fun. So I'm thinking Dan is probably having a lot of fun jumping in those puddles, isn't he? Because if he keeps jumping in them, he must like doing it. Jumping in puddles. And my thinking voice says, oh, I bet he's having fun and he is enjoying it. And then the very last sentence says, he got on the yellow bus. So what does that mean? What is your guys' thinking voice telling you when it says he got on the yellow bus? Yellow bus. When kids get on the yellow bus, where are they going? To school. So my thinking voice is telling me he must be going to school. Dan must be going to school. Right? Okay. So now I read the text. I made a chart of my reading voice and my thinking voice thoughts. Now I'm going to look at these questions and see if I can answer the questions. The first question is, what is the weather like? Well, the text never came out and told us what the weather was like, but remember we used our thinking voice. Ooh, I just messed up my hair. We used our thinking voice to come up with the weather in the story because it says, we used the clues from the text, it says that he has on a coat and boots, a hat, and an umbrella was that big key word that told us that, oh, it must be raining. Also, gosh, my lights keep doing that. Sorry. Also, it says at the bottom that he was jumping in puddles. That word puddle can also clue us into it must be raining. So what is the weather like? It is raining. Where is Dan going? Well, we used our thinking voice. When we read this story, we know it's in the morning. He's eating breakfast, right? We know he's outside playing in the rain, but what happened at the very end of the story? He got on the yellow bus. And our thinking voice told us, usually when kids get on a yellow bus, they're going to school. So, Dan must be going to school.
Excuse this interruption, staff and students. We are now practicing our lockdown drill. Students,
Okay, sorry. We had a lockdown. Okay, so where were we? So we were answering these 3 questions. The last question is, does Dan like this weather? So the story never comes out and says, Dan loves this weather. So we're going to have to use our thinking voice and details from the text. So remember this word, when he looked out the window, he smiled. Again, my thinking voice is telling me, usually when people smile, that means that they're happy. Also, down here, it says that he was jumping in every puddle he saw. Every single one, which also told my thinking voice he was having fun, wasn't he? So, to answer this question, does Dan like this weather, what do you guys think? If he smiled when he saw the rain and then he went outside and was jumping in all the puddles, do you think he liked the weather? Yeah, I do too. So I think the answer to that is yes, Dan likes this weather. So, hopefully you guys understand a little bit better now why it's important to use both of our voices, our reading voice and our thinking voice, to help us better understand a text. If I were not making all of these thoughts as I was reading, these questions would have been really difficult for me to answer because none of the answers were spelled out for me, okay? I really had to use my thinking voice to come up with the answers to these questions, which is why it is important to make sure that we're using our thinking voice as we're reading or listening to a story. Okay, so you guys are going to have a chance to practice this on your own in Seesaw. I don't expect it to be perfect, but I do want you to really try hard to use your thinking voice as you listen to a story. All right, thanks for watching, guys.